up? Good afternoon. My goodness. To the market that will never, ever go down again. Interesting. We continue to watch the markets defy odds. And, again, this is why you don't trade the news. Okay. For this exact reason, okay, you can see what's going on. Okay, you can see everything right in front of you. Okay, and this is what we're always looking at is what the markets are doing. Okay, and if you think that you're going to outguess or outsmart it, well, guess what? You're wrong. You're not going to do that. Okay, you're going to continue to struggle because you're trying to outguess the next move of the market, which is foolish. Okay, I mean, again, we've been doing this and watching and talking about very much the same things over and over again, and here we are. Okay, with the same action. Now, who would have figured that the markets would have gone up, continue to go higher here, but yet here they are pushing up once again. So, we can always think that we're smarter than, but I think you're realizing that we're not. Okay, it's not an insult to you. It's human nature to think that you can tell the market what it's going to do, and I think you're learning, or hopefully you're learning, that you can't. Okay, I mean, I don't know too many people that would love to be long into this market here. Okay, I mean, maybe you would be, maybe you wouldn't be. I don't know, but I certainly wouldn't want to be too long here. I am, but I don't really particularly care for it. But what do I care? I can only follow what the movement of the market is. Okay, I can only follow the price action. I can't follow anything else. Inflation obviously doesn't matter. Russia obviously doesn't matter. So we're finding out that basically nothing really matters when it comes to trying to figure out what the market's going to do next. So the price will tell you what is going to do next. The price action will tell you what it's going to do next. Okay. Now, another day of pathetic volume. Okay. I mean, this is getting ridiculous. We don't typically talk volume, but it is becoming an issue. Okay, which is why we're talking about it. Under normal circumstances, we would never talk about it. Okay, but we're now in Young Frankenstein AB normal. Okay, we got an AB normal market right now. Okay, so what it is, what it is, whatever it is what it's doing. And at the end of the day, when they close them, that's going to be the price that they mark them at. So if you're on the wrong side of the price they mark them at, guess what? You lose. Okay. And, again, there's so much news out there that you would think, how could it possibly be that this market can continue to fly? And yet it continues to go higher. We had last week at the end of the week, you had Wednesday, Thursday down days, but didn't violate any support level. And today it popped. Okay. So their markets are telling us a lot, between what's up there, Guitar Boy, between the yield curve inversion. Okay. Does it matter? Obviously not, or not yet. Remember, I think people make the big mistake of trying to trade things that are supposed to be related. Okay, that's not the right word I'm looking for right now, but right now is all I can think of. Okay, but they don't have to be correlated today. Okay, I often hear when I'm doing RFD TV, well, the dollar is, I said, what do I care about the dollar? Okay, right now, the grains are higher and the dollar's higher. Does it matter? Okay, can we change that narrative? No. So even though theoretically there's supposed to be a direct correlation or relationship. Correlation is the word, by the way. There's not. Okay, not on any given day. Okay, so the inversion of the yield curve, which means that short-term rates are more expensive than long-term rates. Okay, so if you're borrowing on a 2-year note, you're paying more interest than you would be paying on a 10-year. Okay, not very logical, very much and often a sign of a recession. Okay, what does it mean? Well, right now it doesn't mean anything, obviously, because the markets continue to push. The president's done a great job. Yeah, he's only the worst in history, which is not any surprise. Okay, this is the worst administration in history, which is no surprise. Okay, I mean, you know, I will go to my grave with this thought that this team, okay, that won was destined to be a loser. Okay, and they were put up to be a loser because nobody likes either one of them, and they figured they were going to lose anyway. So why try to find a good candidate for this election? And somehow it was close enough to steal it at the end. Okay, and again, I don't want to get into the stealing of votes because both parties do it. You know, this is the same as the manipulation. You know, all the things you hear about manipulation of currency, everybody does it. It's not like it's one side or the other. Okay, they just did it better. Okay, so, but this is the worst imbecile ever. I mean, he's a dumbass. Forget about anything else. And he's always been a dumbass, not because he's the president. He was a dumbass that has voted for every racist bill in history that he's been involved in. Okay, he has done everything to. I'd like to say it. I would like to say with the word I like to use, but it starts with an F and ends with a K. But to the middle class. Okay, he has done nothing to help small business nor the middle class. Okay, zero. In fact, less than zero, because he's hurt us more than he's helped us. Okay, so again, we can get into all the thoughts, but we don't want to make this a political call. We want to talk about markets. Crude finally bounced back, which again, no surprise. I mean, is anybody surprised? You know, that crude made a huge move back up again. You know, look, we have a shortage. We have problems. There's problems globally with crude, with oil in general. Okay, but yet we don't want to do anything about it because God forbid we would want to help and reduce the inflation curve here. I mean, that would be silly to reduce inflation. Who would want to do that? You know, I mean, but again, this is what we're dealing with. This is what we have. What's up? Okay. You know, and you know, there's always a reasoning behind it, but you know, again, for what reason are we holding back? Okay, when we could supply the world with crude. Okay, you know, and there's a whole bunch of other things. Obviously, I'll wait for Andy to get here. Okay, but I think when you look at it, you got to recognize that right now, until further notice, these markets want to go up. Okay, and again, I've said before, and I'll say it again. There's no doubt in my mind that we're going to see a 50 to 60% haircut. But a question is how long do I grow my hair before I get a cut? Okay, you know, that's the troubling part that nobody can answer is when does this market melt down? Okay, you know, there's every reason in the world for it to do so. But I will say that with the 10 years now, probably I got to look exactly. I'll give you the exact number. Okay, with the 10-year notes at with 10-year notes at 2.41. Okay, and by the way, the 5 years are at 2.55, which is obviously above the 10. Is also the part of the inversion. Okay, but I would say if we get to 3, Katie bar the door, and I think there's a better than even money chance we get to 3. Okay, but I think you'll see an enormous amount of money outflow from these markets because listen, I would say, let's say 30% or more of the people that are invested in this market wish they weren't. Okay, not because they think the markets are going down, not because of anything except pure safety. They'd rather be in fixed income. Okay, We do know, and we've discussed before, that fixed income, okay, are the biggest markets in the world by 10 times. Okay. And there's too many people that are being forced to chase equities, okay, instead of being in what they'd like to be, which is fixed income, because they can't get any yield. But at 3%, all of a sudden now you're talking about equal to, if you say the stock market yield is, let's say, 3.5%, 4%. Okay. Now we know it's higher when the market's going up, but we also know the dangers of when we get the correction. Okay. But if you say the dividend return on the stock market is 3.5%, I don't know what the exact numbers, but let's just say it's 3.5. Well, at 3.5, I'm taking a hell of a lot of risk. At 3, I'm taking zero risk. Where do I want to be? Okay. And that's the thought, not my thought, but that's the thought of many out there that would prefer not to be involved. Okay. Now, again, does it mean that they're going to run them around? No. But again, the higher interest rates go, the more that banks pay and start to maybe offer CDs at more than 0.5%, the more you're going to see outflows going there, because there's many people out there that are much happier and much more comfortable in a market without the risk. Why is the Japanese yen so weak? Well, I mean, listen, the fiat currency market is a criminal market, basically. Okay. It is central banks manipulating around the corner, trying to reduce the value of all currencies. And they basically take turns at killing their own currency. And they never bounce back to where they came from. Okay. So right now it's the yen's turn to get clobbered. Okay. I mean, again, this rotates all the time. Just look at the longer term trends on these things. They're down. Okay. And this is just part of the evaporation, because the fiat currencies have become almost like options. They kind of just disintegrate in front of your eyes. Okay. And, again, I just want you to be aware of what indeed is happening. Okay. And I think you have to just recognize what's going on. Okay. So we go back to, and here's the man himself. What's up there, Chief?
Hello there.
How are you?
Okay.
We were just talking about the wonderful fiat currency system and how honest and forward it's going.
That's okay. Faith.
Somebody said, why is the yen so low? I said, because it's their turn to get hammered, because they crush them. The fiat currencies have become more like options and disintegrate in front of your eyes. Any comment to that?
No, I mean, the purchasing power of money is going down. That's it. Period. Full stop. I mean, I don't care what currency it is. Dollars, yen, euros. I mean, now look, Saudi Arabia and Nigeria pricing oil in yuan. And, Russia's going to sell energy to Europe in rubles. And believe me, the Germans will turn around and buy rubles to buy the natural gas.
Yeah, well, they're going to have to.
They have no choice, because they have no choice. So these currencies are a lot of BS. Right. Real use. I mean, look at the values versus commodities. That tells you the whole story.
No, agreed. I mean, again, that's when you
you don't have to look at it against commodities. Look at it against house prices or anything else, or food.
Look at it against the grocery store.
Right.
Right. I mean, you go grocery shopping and it's more expensive, and it's going to get much more here.
Oh yeah, it's going to get, but here it's going to get expensive, but we'll have availability. In Africa and places like that, it's not even going to get expensive. They just won't have it.
Do you think we'll still have availability? I mean,
yeah, I do. I think we have. I think, listen, we're not energy self-sufficient, but I think we're food self-sufficient, and I think we'll make enough
so you're
grains.
Okay, so you're not concerned. Well, hold on a second. So you're not concerned when you go to, maybe you don't go, but I go. Okay, you're not concerned by seeing the dramatic empty shelves, and they're getting worse every time I go?
Yeah, it reminds me of when I lived in Europe in the early 80s. you know, I mean, we're just used to so many choices here. We're not going to starve here. That's what I say.
Well,
We're not.
I'm not saying we're gonna starve, but
No. But you know what? But in other places in the world, they are going to starve, and that's going to cause civil, all kinds of uprisings
yep.
and wars on different fronts, and we're going to get ourselves involved in that, and that's a problem. And that's where it comes home to roost for us.
Okay, I'll live with
And
that.
that's my opinion. You know,
No, listen,
so yeah, I mean, yeah, we're not going to have the same choices we did, but you know, who the hell needs 75 different choices of breakfast cereal?
I understand that, but I look at Albertsons and I see shelves and shelves and shelves with no goods.
Yeah, I know. It depends.
Pretty
Where
big.
you go. I mean, last time, by the way, last time I went, which was a couple of days ago, they were pretty fully stocked. You know,
Okay.
it depends when the trucks come in. The supply chain is still crappy. It's still really crappy.
Well, I talked to the manager of the same, I think we go to the same one. Okay.
Yeah.
And she told me that they can't get goods. They're having a lot of trouble and it's getting worse.
Okay.
So again, is it right? I mean, and then I actually stopped a vendor I stopped two vendors, a potato chip guy and a Pepsi guy, and they're all having trouble getting goods. Okay. So again, are we going to starve? No. I mean, we do have enough and we can be,
the goods are going to go to the strip before they go to summer.
Right. Well, they got to get more money there. They get a higher profit margin down there.
Yeah.
Actually, they don't because they pay more rent. But anyways,
we get our water from Lake Mead. They get their water from California.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah, because it's a better source.
How about the price of gas here?
Come on, 520, baby.
I saw a sign. I was driving down Flamingo the other day, 530, 588.
Yeah.
My God.
The closer you get to the strip, the more expensive it is.
Yeah. I mean, but it happened to be, listen, even my old standby other than Costco Speedway was 530.
Yeah. Crazy.
So, I mean, I don't know how to pay those prices. My car has a nervous breakdown when it goes to the pump.
The lines at Costco have been enormous.
Fortunately, I only have to fill up about every 3 weeks, so it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, I go at 5:30 in the morning. So
right. So anything on your front?
Well, as you probably know, I've been really busy writing.
Yes, I do. I do know.
So my head is spinning. I'm working on the last one, which is hopefully I'll finish tonight. It's always the end of the quarter is always rough for me because it's 7 different reports and it's like, wow. But listen, it's good. It's good discipline for me because I kind of review and look forward, and the bottom line is commodities were up 16% in Q1, and they're way off the highs.
Right.
And every sector was up. And you know what? I measure 41 different commodities in my reports, Bubba, as you know. And take a guess how many losers there were out of 41.
It can't be more than 2 or 3, if any.
It was 3. 3 out of 41.
Yeah, that makes sense. Look at, and they're all going higher.
Crazy.
Unfortunately, we're short a couple of them, but they're only going higher. Look,
no, it's a very, very bullish market. It's a very bullish asset class, and stocks were down in the first quarter, and cryptos were down in the first quarter. And the bottom line is that commodities were the place to be. I mean, energy was the leader, base metals was second, grains third, precious metals fourth. Even the meats were up because of the hogs, and the soft commodities were up. So it's just an incredible, it's an incredible run. And we said 2 years ago, Bubba, together, we said, hey, that stimulus and that liquidity, it's the same as we saw following 2008. Watch out, the inflation's coming. It's coming. Okay, it's here. And don't forget, it lasted from 2008 to 2012. So we got at least 2 more years of this ahead of us. At least.
It's unbelievable the way that things get done, and it's sad.
Well, the world is, I mean, and this is worse because we didn't have back then. We weren't facing some crazy geopolitical, with leadership here in this country that's just saying all the wrong things at the wrong time. I mean, no matter what you think of Putin, you gotta be kind of diplomatic here, in my opinion, with this whole thing. And basically we're on a path we're on a path to nowhere here.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think there's so many big issues that we were kind of talking about before you got here. There's so many things that, but yet the stock market continues to ignore them all.
Yes, but I'll qualify that.
Go ahead.
Stock market is sitting there, and it's not. It was down. What are we? The S&P was down just under 5% in the first quarter. It's sitting. It's a little higher today, a little higher last week. The bottom line is, if money's losing value, then the stock market's losing value if it ain't going up. So, maybe that's really the answer here, that our money is losing value so much faster than we can even imagine, that, the stock market, even if it sits the same, it's still losing value.
Right.
So,
and it's losing a lot of value for that reason.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of money going into hard assets. There's a lot of money going into, listen, I told you last week, our son bought a house not far from you.
Right.
Sky Vista, near there. He got offered, I think 30 or 40,000 more 2 days after he bought it.
Right.
This is insane.
Well, we happen to be in a unique area. This would be very similar to, Florida, Texas, that they were so close to the California border that, people would drive and buy a home here and overpay for it for all the money they were going to save on their taxes. Yes. Yes.
And they're going to get a lot of money for their homes in California, but it's also, there's also,
even if they get a partial.
Here's an example. Here's another example. I had a condo in Vermont. All right. For years, for like 25 years. I got rid of it when I moved out here. It was a ski condo. And for years, it never went anywhere. I think I paid like $175,000 for it. And I sold it in the late 90s for $325,000. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that up until like a couple of months ago, it was never even near what I sold it for? It was like $250,000, $275,000. I looked at it last week. Take a guess how much it is.
$440,000.
$675,000.
Mm-hmm.
This is, so, and Vermont is, that there ain't nothing there. Unless you ski, there's nothing. There's no real business, unless you want to make maple syrup and
Are they a tax state?
They charge a lot of taxes.
Okay.
And, you go worship. Look at who their senator is. It's Bernie Sanders.
Okay, because they're
not New Hampshire. New Hampshire is the tax haven. But the point is, money's losing value. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but that's kind of my explanation for everything here. When I look at it, it's the only kind of logical explanation I can come up with. The only thing that really is perplexing me is crypto. I think crypto's got to make a move because money's worth garbage, and crypto is an asset.
Well, I think it's going to make a move. I think you're right, and I think the addition of options into the micros is going to help.
It'll add liquidity, sure, and then you have more and more brokers. As I know, trading is going into the business, and there's more and more people coming, which means more and more liquidity, and that's good for the asset class. But the bottom line is, if this thing has a little bit of, it has legs under it, after 10 years. It's not like it just came out yesterday, and it's sitting here. It kind of broke out of that wedge pattern, and it's kind of sitting at the top end. And I think it makes a move higher. I think it's going to surprise everyone.
We're long, so I don't think it wouldn't be a surprise to us. But yeah, again, I think that you've got.
It's always, by the way, that thing always surprised because it's the trajectory and how far it goes.
Right. It could go.
That's the shocker.
As I asked you last week, you'd be surprised if it was 100,000. You said no. You'd be surprised if it was 10,000. No. There's markets and there's markets, and this is still now again. Tradier is coming out with cryptos shortly.
Right.
In your trading account, which I think will add a lot of value, and it will allow many people to participate that aren't willing to participate now
because they'll hold the cryptos. It's custodial.
Right.
Right. Hey, let me ask you a question. What do you think of Musk buying Twitter?
I don't know. Obviously, maybe Dorsey needed some dough and Musk was helping him out. I think really he probably wants to try to open it up and bring back more. I think he's a free speech guy, and I think he's even getting frustrated with the lack of free speech even on Twitter.
He doesn't like this administration because they've treated him like this, like the Saudi crown prince.
Right.
They ignore him, when they talk about it. How could you ignore him when you're talking about EV? Excuse me. Hold on one sec.
Right. I mean, you could ignore him easily because, listen, who doesn't this administration ignore? Who do they give a rat's ass about? Nobody.
No, I know. But the point is, they just, when you're talking about EVs, yeah, what do you think of? Do you think of Ford? Do you think of GM? You think of Tesla. I mean, he is a pioneer. You got to give him that. And they have totally dissed him.
Right.
And, I think it's very interesting that he bought Twitter. I think it's actually good. I like the guy. I mean, listen, do I agree with everything he says and does? No. But do I like his spirit? Yes, I do.
He's very progressive. He's very realistic in what he says. I mean, he may say things obviously to manipulate the stock price occasionally. He may do his thing, which is not always so kosher. But on the other side of the coin, he's a free speaker. He's a guy that I think believes in true capitalism. I mean, obviously, he only went from PayPal to Tesla, and what's his rocket company?
SpaceX.
And he's got
the Boring Company,
and he's got the satellite dishes now for internet.
Yeah. Which he really helped out Ukraine with that.
I mean,
the guy is a global phenom. I actually, when I think about it, I say to myself, it's surprising that he's the buyer of Twitter. Actually, it's more suited to someone like Bezos with the Washington Post or Rupert Murdoch with Fox. That's kind of more suited to them. But who knows? He's got a lot of money, man.
Well, maybe he's living in the metaverse already.
Yeah, I think he's past the metaverse. I think he thinks Zuckerberg's a jackass. Pardon my French.
Yeah, I agree. So, do you have any bitches to report today?
Not, you know what? I haven't even thought about it because of all these quarterlies that I've been doing. The only thing I will say is, in doing this, project that I do every 3 months, try to prepare for, that I look at what's going on here, and it only cements in my head when I look at the prices and I look at the percentages, and I've been doing this, Bubba, for years and years now, and it's really, this month's numbers really they stuck out to me and they really depressed me. It's like, wow, 16% higher in this asset class in 1 quarter. And we didn't even close anywhere near the highs. And, what's going on in Washington, D.C.? I mean, are they in a coma? Are they brain dead? I don't know. I mean, I'm not talking about the Fed. I'm not talking about the Fed. I'm talking
I know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about our elected leaders. I mean, they're still talking this green nonsense. There's a war. There's a potential for World War III out there with China, with Iran, what are they doing? And Biden opens his mouth and is talking about war crimes and yes, war is horrible and a horrible thing. But, where is the logical approach to this? Leaders, it's okay for you and me to say that this guy's committing war crimes. And in my heart, I believe he is. When you're a world leader, you gotta measure what you say. You have to be very smart, unless you're prepared to really go at it.
Right. Well,
he ain't no Winston Churchill.
No, he's a nothing. Listen, as I said, I think before you got here, he's an idiot. He was always an idiot, not because he's a bad president. He was an idiot for 47 years. He's been an idiot. And remember the cartoon I showed last week? He's getting impatient now after 47 years. What has he actually done for this country in 47 years?
Nothing.
All right.
Nothing.
I rest my case. Okay.
Nothing.
I mean, he's done absolutely zero for this country, along with that drillhead Pelosi and Schumer. They've all done, and I don't listen, I don't think McConnell's any better.
I'll hire Will Smith to go on stage and slap the three of them.
I mean, and listen, I'm not saying McConnell's done any better because, again, I'm not a big fan of any of them, as you know.
No, I don't. I'm not. Listen, the Republicans, they're also in a fog. What do they do to help the middle class?
Nothing. All they do is figure out new ways to torture us and take our money.
The middle class is in trouble in this country. I don't even know if there is a middle class anymore. There's workers and there's, oligarchs.
Yeah.
There's politicians who are oligarchs.
Listen, I don't.
But, like going back to my bitch, I look at these things. I look at these commodity prices. I see how it translates to everyone. Maybe I'm more sensitive to it because I follow it so closely and you do too. But, I know what the answer is because there's a lag. We both know that there's a lag. There's a lag. It's like the best example is what happened in wheat. So in 2008, wheat rose to the all-time high, the CBOT wheat, which is the world benchmark. And we didn't get the political fallout really till 2010, So, what we're seeing now, we're going to see the fallout in 2024. That's where it comes. It's kind of there's a lag.
If he talked out of his ass, at least we say something. Right now, he doesn't say anything. So, anyways. So as we take a look at markets and through our discussion, and of course, we always start with the U.S. dollar, and we reversed dollars in our short. It did pop. It came off the bottoms for a little bit. It's really just stuck in this vicious consolidation pattern between 98 and 99.50. I'm not so sure that I like the short side of this. I don't really care one way or the other. I mean, I trade it the way it is, but I wouldn't be surprised. I still wouldn't be surprised if it went back over par over the dollar.
It gets my vote, the dollar index, for the most meaningless. No, I know it moves and I know we trail it and I know it can trend, but it gets my vote for the most meaningless market because it's meaningless.
Right. No, I agree.
I would change it to a basket of what.
Yeah, the whole fiat currency world is a basket of crap.
Basket of crap, right?
Okay, I mean that we know, we've known that forever, and it just continues to get worse as they move over. But anyways, for you, Connie, 98, 99.50 support and resistance, and the euro currency, which again continues to go lower. We're also short the euro, and here we are once again at a fairly key level of support. And of course, obviously, if you think about it, and because it's whatever percentage is 56 point whatever, it's the exact opposite because that's the biggest part of the dollar index as well. And here you're at support. And again, I think you're probably going to break down through support this time. And I think you're going to test that 107 area. Okay. You have any thoughts, sir?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Europe is not going to stand up to Putin.
No.
He's going to eat their lunch. I mean, they have no choice. They need energy. I mean, they have not planned for this.
Well, you can't. It's hard to plan, when you can't plan an imbecile.
Well, our last 45 was it for 45? It was our last president. He was over there and he told them, "We can supply you with natural gas. You need to close those pipelines. You need to buy it from us." Yep. And they said, "He's just a salesman." He was dead right.
Right. Of course, he was right. I mean, look, you may not have liked him, but he was right. Okay.
He was.
And, again, I can't tell you, obviously, if you can't feel the difference, well, then you're just, whatever you are. But I mean, there is a dramatic difference in everything in this country right now as we go on. In the meantime, I'm not buying the euro currency under any circumstances. I think it's going to 88 cents. Okay. But in the meantime, I'd sell more at like 111.20. Okay. I'm not buying any. Okay. I mean, I obviously have to buy it on a blow-up trade, on a day trade, but overnight, I will never be long this as long as it's in this ugly pattern. And I do believe it has a lot of room to go to the downside. And I don't think there's anything going to change that anytime.
It's going to go slowly. When it goes, it'll go nasty. Remember how Soros squeezed the pound? He destroyed the pound. I think that eventually happens to the euro.
I wouldn't be surprised. Okay. Again, I think Soros may be running this country right now. Somebody put the essay in the chat room, and I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Obviously, he carries a lot of power. Okay. And he's certainly a piece of shit, but whatever. Okay. In the
Yeah,
meantime,
he couldn't get the president of Hungary kicked out yesterday,
yeah,
and you know he has an interest in that.
he's got interest in everything. Listen, he's a good person, turned in Jews in World War II. Okay. So he's a wonderful humanitarian who we all aspire to be. Okay. Like a prick. Anyways, Bitcoin, as we talked about a little bit earlier. Okay. Bitcoin, again, it's made, I think, new support at 44,000. I think we're 44,000 to 50,000 right now.
Yeah.
Okay. And it wouldn't surprise either one of us if it went blowing through 50,000 to 60 to 70 new highs.
Right. I do think that above 50, if it goes above 50, it'll be a rocket.
Okay. And it wouldn't be a surprise if it went back to 38 or 20. I mean, again, listen, this is a very volatile commodity. Okay. Currency, whatever you want to call it. It's really a commodity. Okay. But for today, 44,000 is support and 50,000 is resistance. But again, we're long. So anytime we carry a position on one side or the other, I am not going to go against that position on an overnight trade. What I do during the daytime, okay, is one thing. Okay, day trading is not swing or overnight trading, but I'm never going to be short this until we get shorted, and then I wouldn't mind. Okay, the bonds continue. Now they made that nice little pop, as you and I both thought we would. We thought 150 would be resistance, and there it is. And here we're coming back down again. And your number is 136.13. Is that right?
136.16.
Yeah, that was close.
October 2018 low. That's the real support area. Below there, you're looking 127-ish. Listen, we said last week, hey, this thing has come too far. People are too short. They'll take their profits, and the next rally up is another selling opportunity.
Where does 136.16 put interest rates?
About, I would say about on the long bond, 60 basis points higher, 50.
Yeah. Okay.
Roughly.
Yeah. So again,
I have to do the bond math, but that's what I think. My God.
That's fine. I mean, I think the 10 years are going back over 3%. So, I think there's no question. I mean, the curve's already inverted.
Well, the middle class is already screwed because the mortgage rates are already 5%.
Right. I know.
Because they go up a lot.
I just got one at 4.5. Actually, I didn't get 4.5 because I didn't get a 30, but I got 3.37, but and a 15. But again, they're skyrocketing to the moon. And
I'm doing the math with Jason now to try to see if it might pay in this environment for him just because of his age and stuff to buy down the rate a little bit. If he's going to stay there for long enough. I'm just doing the math for him.
Right.
It's but Bubba, you and I basically, grew up at the same time. And my first mortgage was 14%. Right. These are still low rates.
I don't even know what my rate was, but in the meantime, it was a
lot higher, right?
100%. I don't even know what it was, but it was higher than it is now.
Oh, yeah.
In the meantime, bonds county 146 to 150. I'm a seller only, and I'm an aggressive seller of the bond market.
Yeah, and I am only a seller of the bond market because I will expect interest rates to go much higher unless we want to continue to fuel inflation. And the bond market vigilantes are not going to let that happen because remember, these bonds are determined by market forces, not by the idiots at the
right. Exactly. That's the thing that I talk about often, and Andy talks about often, is these are controlled by the market, not the interest rate that you see from the Fed is one thing. That's only the bond. That's only the bank's borrowing rate. Okay. Right. The interest rates you see on the street come right from this markets here.
Right. Right.
So 146 to 150, and of course gold, a little pop today. But again, you would have expected a little bit of a rally. It's kind of back into the I don't care about nothing right now. I'm going to go sideways until I decide to make a move one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, the gold market didn't like that employment report last week. They didn't like the wages going up. They didn't like it. But you know what? We were at 1,800 last year. This year we're sitting around 1,900. This market to me, this market to me, it's another. If any of these commodities reflect that money is worth a hell of a lot less, it's this one.
Yeah, and we're still short. And again, but the levels are 1900, 1960. They haven't changed in 3 weeks.
Right.
It looks like 1900 is the new 1800s. Okay. Or the new pivot, as you want, if you want to call. And at the end of the day, okay, look, I don't have any problem holding and owning physical gold, but I don't have any problem also being short. And certainly this pattern could be devastating, back to 1900, maybe even further, or it could break the other way. There's no way to really know, but certainly the channel is certainly pointing southward for now. Okay. And again, remember, trading is short term and investing is long term.
Right.
Okay. So anyway, 1900, 1960 in silver, boy, that's it appears to be in a little bit of trouble. And again, trouble is a strange word to use because again, at the end of the day, we're short. Okay. But silver has not been anywhere near the capacity or what gold has been doing. It's similar, but it's been a little bit weaker. Okay. Any thoughts to that?
I'm going back to my, when I ran the gold business, the price sat around $300.
Right.
So what is it? It's 5 times higher. The silver price sat around $5. It's about 5 times higher.
Right.
To me, I look at it, and this is from like 1984 to 1999, roughly. Those are the average prices, maybe around $5 in silver, maybe around 300 in gold. They're both 5 times higher. This isn't a fair value in my head. I mean, listen, I think that money is worth 5 times less.
Well,
and that's, by the way, that's just a quick and dirty analysis from a long-term perspective. It's, that's how I'm looking at this. There's nothing exciting. Will they get exciting? They will eventually. And that's why we trade with trends.
listen, when I started trading in 1980, the Dow was 800.
Right. And what is it now? How many times higher?
And I'm making a lot more money, but I had a hell of a better lifestyle back then.
Right. And but also, these things, the stock market indexes, they have interest and that compounds, so that adds to it. Gold and silver don't have any interest.
Right.
So it's a different kind of investment. But that's how I look at these markets. They're kind of at an equilibrium levels right now.
I don't disagree. I think that, look, I think eventually they're going to spike higher again.
Yeah.
I think you're going to have another runaway at some point. I don't know how close that is. I don't think it's very close, but we know one thing: markets never announce themselves, and when they decide to go, they're going to go. But
and
for
that's
now,
why, listen, and that's why the tighter range is okay. We'll catch that. The trend following will catch that big move when it happens.
So for now, it's $24.50 to $26.
Right.
Okay, we're closer to the bottom, $24.50, $26, and platinum is just pathetic. Okay, the only good news I can say about platinum is it stopped going down for the moment.
It failed at 1,200.
It fails everywhere. It's got, for whatever reason, it's got no value right now.
It's got a sonar GPS right on 1,000, and it always returns there.
And we know that at some point this is going to have a lot of value.
Right.
But again, trying to figure out that point is a fool's game.
Right.
Anything going on with palladium? Anything?
No, that thing came down from 3,400 to 2,300. It's all about Russia, nothing spectacular really, but still elevated because remember it got down below 1,600.
Right. Now I'm going to look at it right now. Yeah, we're 2277 after being up at 3,400. There you go.
Yeah, and where were we last year on the lows? We were down at 1,589, I think.
Yeah. Like that. And even before that, we were down at 1,300. Okay.
Right.
So again, I mean, platinum, we don't trade it anymore, but if you're looking at levels, you're probably looking at about 970 as some support, 1,000 resistance. Okay. Again, Andy and I will both say the same thing. We're going to both buy it. We feel like it's at a discount. We may be discounting ourselves when we do it, but we feel it's at a discount.
2 to 1, 2 ounces for 1 for gold.
And copper, which looks like is now going to start to break the upside, unfortunately, because of course we're short copper. It's still in this range, but it's getting, after a few days of nothing, it's getting a little bit bigger, and it certainly looks to me, okay, and we're short, okay, I give you full disclosure all the time, but it looks like to me it wants to pop to the upside.
Yeah, and if I'm looking at the copper stocks and the mining stocks, and those are signaling, FCX and those kinds of stocks are going a lot higher. That usually, one usually leads the other. And
But the miners preclude a lot of times what's because the futures are much easier to hold down if you want or hold up if you want. Again, it takes a lot less money to do something with those.
Right.
Okay.
And just also remember, in March, the LME, which is the critical market for copper, it got socked in the mouth.
Right.
And a lot of people,
that was China doing their thing. Yeah.
right. And a lot of market participants are going to be very wary of trading on the LME, which is going to lower liquidity. So you can get a lot of false kind of movements there. So I like to look at these copper stocks, and they're telling the story. You know what I think of copper? I think it's going to.
No, I think they're doing a 638. I think or something.
680.
I don't know. I can't remember everything, but I'm close.
$15,000 a ton.
Right. So, and I'm not, I wouldn't be surprised. You basically, if you break this down, we're like in the middle of everything, right? You're just stuck again. And it wouldn't surprise me if I tomorrow in the middle of the night, I tell you they were going to be long tomorrow. It wouldn't, nothing ever surprises me. But to me, again, when they sit there, we start, these levels start to change and come back towards the baseline. I mean, for today, it's 462 to 482. However, I would not be surprised to see a change here. So I'm not going to commit. Maybe I should be committed, but I'm not making any commitments here. Okay. Because we could certainly, I'm certainly thinking in my mind, and I don't know. If I knew, I would tell you for sure. I don't know, but I would think this is going to be long term. Okay. And of course, the grain markets, corn. I go on RFD 3 times a week. Okay. And I said, look, right now we're in the middle of doing nothing. Okay. Forget about the big moves up and down. Look at the overall picture. The overall picture is we're stuck 720 to 780. Okay. Is that, you concur with that?
Corn was up 26% last quarter.
I know, but I mean, you concur with
in a consolidation range, not a hell of a very far from the high. And it's the beginning of the planting season. And by the way, they're going to plant more corn because of this insanity over energy.
You think they're going to plant more corn? Because a lot of guys are saying they're not going to plant more corn because of the cost and because of the input cost.
So they're going to plant.
A lot of guys that have said, now again, the word Bobby Mice, right? There's a lot of rumors out there. I don't know which is correct, but there's supposedly going to be a lot more soy planted than corn than in comparison to usual. Because
I mean that's possible, but when I look at the metric, the ratio favors corn, and I would think that with gasoline prices where they are and the demand for ethanol mandate and the demand for gas, maybe the demand for gasoline is going to go down and ethanol will go down. I don't know. But right now, the prices favor corn.
Right. So, and I do have a lot of farmers here. So farmers, if you know,
right,
tell me what you're hearing or what you're going to do, because that will give us a great
insight
benchmark to have an understanding.
But what I will say is, listen, we're trading in a range here, but we were up 26% in the quarter, and that's crazy. And that price. The quarter end price was a couple of cents below where it is now. Fertilizer requirements influence it. Yes, that's that.
Right.
So well, that corn probably takes a lot more fertilizer.
That's what I was hearing.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, I don't know that to be factual. I'm just saying that's what I was hearing. Okay. And overall. Okay. So
the other thing is, does the ratio really matter now that the prices are this high? You know what I mean? It might not matter as much as when, corn was $3 a bushel.
It's always funny because when I started trading grains, $2 corn, $3 wheat, and $4 beans.
Yeah, 2, 3, 4.
Anyway, 720 to 780.
You know what's really interesting when you just look at the stocks of the agricultural company. I mean, there's only 2 major ones that trade. They're unbelievably. I mean, they're just skyrocketing. They're making a fortune.
And soybeans we reversed this morning into the rally. Now again, I'm not thrilled that we reversed, but again, I'm not going to argue with what the reversal was. I would say that, for a short side, it better get through 1580 on the downside. Okay. And I think it's probably right now 1580 to 1650. But I don't think that, I think there's a chance, But I do believe, again, I will always tell you my opinion and I'll tell you my position. And I do believe we're going a lot higher. Okay. It doesn't mean I'm going to sit here and hold it. It doesn't mean it can't go to 1480 first. Okay. But I think everything sets up between the weather, between the geopolitical crap, between the inflation, that, as we said, Andy and I have said before, that the move out of the teens is not going to be at 12.
Right.
Okay. So I think, again, we are short. So for now, 1602 or $16, 16 to 1660. Okay. And wheat, we are still short, and wheat's been just wild, but we've been doing very well on the short side, because what it does is it comes down, it finds some ranges of trade, and then it starts to work lower again. Now, again, I think that wheat is going to go much higher as well. But I never mind being on one side or the other, because markets can move in mysterious ways, and they can move dramatically one way before reversing, going the other way. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, wheat at $10. P.S. It's the highest price since 2008, the year it made an all-time high. You know, we came down from what, $14 here or whatever, close. The wheat is going to be volatile. Wheat's politics. Wheat is Russia. You know, I cannot see how in hell Ukraine is going to plant wheat. And if they do, how they're going to ship it out of the Black Sea ports, which are blockaded. And that's 1/3 of the world's wheat. So you tell me.
And you're just talking about owning deer. I think I'm going to answer first, though, because I think if you want to play the ag space, I think you want to play the fertilizer. I think you want to play like Mosaic or one of those.
Yeah, I mean, ADM, Bunge, Mosaic, the Ferts, you know, what's the other one? Not just Mosaic.
Well, it used to be potash, but they're
they were taking over C.
I know you're talking about CFI or CF whatever.
Yeah. CF
Industries, I think, right?
CF Industries, yeah.
Hold on.
But you know, I mean, the supermarkets to the world are Bunge and ADM. I mean, Cargill and Dreyfus are part of the ABCDs, but you can't trade them because they're privately held.
But I will say this to you, my friend. I don't think buying them now is the right.
No, I agree. I mean, listen, ADM just reached it's sitting at their all-time high.
Right.
This is not far. You know, that boat has sailed, but I'm watching the action in them, and they're printing money.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is that this kind of goes into what you were talking about earlier, that remember, stocks sometimes will outjump what they expect to see in the future.
Right. And it's just like, you know what, Bubba, here's a perfect example. Last week, you know, for my subscribers, for the Technomental, I was doing the report, and I see, you know, I loved Valero. I loved this stock. I thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread when it was 60, when Biden took over. We were long it. We sat on it. We collected beautiful dividends. You know, I'm still bullish on the stock, but at $100, I had him sell it last week, and I did too, because you know what? There's times to take a profit, especially when it's a big profit. I don't want to take the risk, and I have other interests, you know, and other things in the portfolio. But this stock, I look at ADM and Bunge like that. Would I run in and buy Valero now? No, it's not compelling. Was it compelling to me at 60? Yes. You know what I mean?
And one further point on your question, I would certainly, if you're going to buy them and hedge them, which I know you're a hedger, I have a problem with that.
Okay? Right. That's exactly right. And I was going to say that next. If you're going to use Bubba's programs to hedge these companies, these are very interesting companies to own, because I do think they have more upside, but I don't think it's the same percentage. But I don't like the risk reward like I did.
No, I agree. I mean, that's exactly what I said to him. Feeder cattle. Look, you're going to hear from everybody. Corn was higher, so feeders went down, which is not necessarily untrue.
Right.
But the other big story in the cattle markets and in the protein complex is what? Well, inflation. High inflation is not good for cattle, okay? Because people are going to have to make a decision. If you've been paying attention lately, when you've seen higher crude, you've seen lower cattle, okay? Because again, you're measuring what can a consumer afford to buy, and with higher fuel costs, it makes it a lot harder to go into the store and buy the steak versus buying a hog or a pork chop, okay? And now there's a big issue with the poultry markets as well, because of the supposed bird flu. Who knows if it's legit or not? But
yeah. You know, pork. Listen, the safest thing to eat is the non-kosher pork.
Right.
But I actually prefer pork over steak, It's healthier. I mean, it's a leaner meat, and it's it's tastier to me. So
It's also the other white meats.
right, right. It's, that's it.
Anyways,
Robert, I once saw Robin Williams do a concert,
yeah.
and he called the Swiss the other white race, which I thought was really funny. Anyway,
I don't, you're asking me the question backwards, I think, but I'm not getting into that now. I will get into it later. Okay. That's not something that I'm going to discuss at this moment. That was in line with what I was talking about. In the meantime, we're long feeders. I would say, 158 should be supported. Again, I'm very concerned about the cattle markets in general, because although we're long, okay, and we're long fats as well, this overall inflation story is the first big effect is going to come there. Okay.
you also learned a lesson in cattle in 2020, Bubba. And we learned that, the future, that there's a big bifurcation between the price of the futures and the price at the markets. And, that they can really diverge dramatically. So the fundamentals and even the technicals sometimes don't make a lot of sense. These are very difficult. So following trends, fine, but trying to go past that and do what I do with the fundamentals is very difficult. Because listen, there are times where producers and consumers both get screwed.
Right.
And that's what we learned, right?
Exactly. I just want to switch over the hog market for a minute in my other charts here, because I want to see. This is showing J, which is April. That's April. I want to see what's going on in the outer portion of the world here. Okay, because I know that the front month was down pretty healthy, and they're all down pretty good.
Yeah, they're all down pretty healthy today, but the Junes, which I watched, dropped from 120, so they're a little juiced up there.
Right, yeah, right. They dropped from 120, which is the key word, right? They dropped from 120. We're still long this. I would not be surprised if this reverses around. Not that I wanted to, but again, they are getting a little bit frothy. There's an old saying in the commodity markets in general: high prices cure high prices, and low prices cure low prices. And these are getting a little bit steep. Okay, so in the meantime, hogs again we're low, but they're right here on a pretty key support level. I thought the 100 would hold. But 99.45, 99 is still 100, okay, unless it breaks from there. Okay, I wouldn't be running in the door here to bury them. I would just say that we may be reversing, and I wouldn't be thrilled based on where we are. But again, I can't argue with what the overall trend is showing. It's certainly been down 5 days in a row. Okay, and I did tell you last Monday, I said one day this week they're going to be down limit. Okay.
You did say that.
Okay. And they were. And I'm going to say this right now: no matter what our position is, and I have no idea what it's going to be tomorrow, but I will say this week, you're going to see a limit update at one point. You're down 6 days in a row in a consolidating pattern. You're going to see a limit update. It's just the function of the market. Okay.
And believe me, that the meat trade, there's a meat cartel out there,
right?
To push the prices around. So there could be some pricing coming up, consumer prices. You don't know what's on the other end. There's all kinds of contracts that are priced off this stuff, and it's they play with it.
But I will say this: no farmer should ever pre-sell. They should hedge them. Okay, that's again. I would never sell early. I would never sell at price. I would hedge it out and look for the big markets, because I know where my protection kicks in. In the crude oil market, well, again, not a surprise you got to bounce. I mean, we didn't reverse. We're still long. Okay. You might have thought we could have reversed based on last week's action, but we're still long. And I think, we said last week, figure about 96 to 108. And I think we're now probably, 98 to 108 to 110. And there's no reason to believe that this is not going a lot higher. And
let's talk about this for a minute. Because listen, I've been I'm very involved in the oil business for the last 42 years. Have seen a lot of SPR releases. And if this one crushes the oil market, it will be the first. If this one causes the oil price to go down, it'll be the first.
Right. It's usually
SPR releases tend to have the opposite effect. And since this is the biggest SPR release, which look,
It's,
the
it's
bottom
as
line
dumb as you can possibly get. How's that? I'll say it.
it is as dumb as you could possibly.
You can't get any dumber than to give up your basically wartime oil if you need it, okay? Because you're not producing it. How are you going to replace that SPR? Okay. Oh, we're going to pay $1 gazillion to Saudi
You're
Arabia.
going to buy it. You got to buy it.
Right.
And by the way, I can guarantee you that the last administration, when oil went to negative $42, they were buying oil.
Oh yeah, 100%. So look, again, this is the dumbest thing you've ever seen of any administrator ever. Okay, is to drain your strategic
and it shows a total lack of understanding of why oil prices are high. So they're blaming, they're saying it's the Putin pumping the pump.
Yeah.
But the oil price was already $90 a barrel before this. Before Putin marched into Ukraine, when a lot of people thought that it would never happen, when the oil market thought it would, and it was where was the oil price in November 2020, Bubba? It was below $40 a barrel.
We said the day after the election, or the Monday after the election, that oil was going to 100 at least.
Right, at least.
We said that, and we still, I still believe we're going to see 150 or maybe 200.
I agree, but it ain't going to be in a straight line. And now 100, it's going to swing wild. It's going to have $10 swings, and that's why I'm glad you're giving them a wide range.
98 to 108. There you go.
And you know what? The oil companies are making a fortune. They're making a fortune, and they're not gouging. They're making money here, and they're going to pay a lot of taxes.
The government is gouging, not the oil companies.
The
government is gouging. The tax money that you're paying.
Right.
On that gallon of gas. What do you think you're paying? Why do you think you're paying $7 or $8 in California? Okay.
Right. It's all the percentage of it. But the oil companies are going to make some money here. No question. How much did they lose in 2020? A lot of them went out of business.
Yep.
A lot of the majors had to really restructure. But we're a capitalist country. Businesses exist to make money.
No, they shouldn't make money. According to this administration, they're not supposed to make any money. They're supposed to give everything away free, charity. And natural gas, Andy, look at this. When's the last time? Now it's got to be past before 2008 that you've seen 580 natural gas in the month of April.
Actually, April 2008.
Okay.
April 2008. That was on the way up to $15. But or $15 or $13. It was over $10. But
and look at this bullish pattern. My goodness.
Yeah, but be careful here, folks, because you know what? This one takes no prisoners. I could see this going to $10, and I could see this going to $4. This is a wild market, and this is almost scary to me, Bubba, because it's too calm and too orderly.
And of course, but this time of year. Okay, it's not supposed to be up at these levels.
No, we're over $2 higher than we were last year at this time, and stockpiles are down. But this is all off the back of the crazy prices we're seeing in Europe and Asia for natural gas.
Right.
The fact that we're going to have to send them natural gas.
And we can't send them because we won't take it.
I was going to say, we're going to send them. We're diverting from Asia to Europe. And we're just creating more shortages in other places.
What a sick world. Anyways, natural gas, $5.60 to $6. Okay. Cocoa. All right. Well, we're still short cocoa. It's really not doing much. And it's gone pretty much through the roll as well.
Yeah.
Now, this could be, listen, we don't trade cocoa actively. Okay. Let me preface my statement. But basically, this could be a potential blow up bottom here. Okay. And it would be at a pretty good spot, pretty solid level of support as well at about 25.60. I'm not we're short, so I'm not getting out. I'm just saying that if I look at this volume here and I look at the move, to me, I'm looking at this as a potential trade. I wish that I could trade it actively, but I can't, because if you try to trade it actively, you'll go bust.
You want to hear something funny about cocoa? Yeah. When I used to get, new traders in my department at Solomon, I used to train them. I used to let them, the first commodity I would let them trade on their own was cocoa, to trade or job or do whatever they do. Because, of all of them, it's the one that's least likely to cause tremendous pain. You know what I mean?
Right.
It doesn't really go anywhere. I mean, every couple of years it has a huge move, but you could usually see it coming when it comes. So
Right.
this kind of price action is not a surprise.
No, not at all. In the meantime, again, 25.60, 26.60. Okay. And cotton exploding. Okay. Look at that. This is about as textbook of a pattern as you can get. Okay. We had a blow off to the upside, and how do blow-offs resolve themselves? They either come back down or they get into consolidation before continuing on the upside. And I see no reason to expect cotton to start coming down. I expect it to continue to go higher. And of course, we're long. Okay. Bullish on gasoline. Yeah, of course. Well, bullish on anything oil related. You have to be bullish right now. Okay. On anything oil related, you cannot be negative. Okay. Hold on. There was one question that somebody had sent me. I forgot to answer, but I knew it had to do with natural gas. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, I only get 5 zillion emails here. So let me see if I can find this question real quick. Oh, here it is. Okay. So let's see. Please discuss charts. Well, I always discuss the charts of natural gas. So, I mean, that's, natural gas looks great, which we said, and UNG I'll look at later, but, look, cotton continues to go higher. I would say right now, 135 to 140, but I'm not a seller at any price right now.
I think the next technical target is like 162.
Well,
I think the big technical target's back from 2011.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
And sugar is finally doing what it's supposed to. And look at how bullish sugar is also.
Oh, we had a real breakout in the Brazilian real, which is at a multi-year high above 21.5 cents. And that's supporting all of these.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is moving nicely. We're still long. I'd say probably 1920 is support, and right now you're at the key. 1980, $20, right around here is very key resistance. But look at how solid this is, moving up nicely.
I expect this thing to go.
Basically, it resolved this straight up pattern by kind of going sideways, a little bit pullback, and now it's going back up again. Okay, so again, 1920 or so to $20 or 1940, anywhere around there is some good.
My short-term target, based on, I guess, medium-term target is like 22.90 here.
Not a surprise at all. And OJ, Oscar Juliet, look at that. Okay, I guess the real was pretty solid, and of course, because we care about Brazil, not about Florida.
It's all about Brazil.
Okay, and of course, it's had. We're along this, and it's had, like it's gone straight up from 144 basically to 164 before pulling back. And don't be surprised if it pulls back to 152, 151 before resuming higher again.
Right. And could you pull up a chart of the Brazilian real? BR?
Yeah, I can get it. I just have to
take a look, because it was a real. I want you to look at it, like a weekly or a monthly. You'll see that it was a
6L.
6L. There it is, front month, and let's go back.
What do you want? What do you want
to? Go back to five years or so. Go back. Go look at You could see now. You see that breakout above that triple top there, kind of thing. That's a significant move in the Brazilian currency.
Okay, so again,
that supports all. Listen, the bottom line is that the employment costs are going up everywhere in the world, but this just pushes production costs up a lot more for all these commodities, and the prices got around.
Right, and we don't trade the real because there's no volume. But again, when you look at the chart pattern, it's like lumber. Okay,
right. And we do trade it because we trade sugar and we trade.
Right, well, no, right. I understand.
We trade oranges.
Coffee. Look, it's just stuck in a range. We're still short coffee. Okay, but again, it's really just in a trading range like 210 to 235 or so. This is a very, and remember, not only is it wild, but when commodities, the more expensive they get, the wilder they become.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's no different than the gas pump. The prices get affected, and the higher the price, the more volatile you're going to see. It's just like I always say to you, don't look at the size of the move, look at the percentage of movement. Okay, that's what you're looking at.
Right.
Okay? Because a 3% move in the stock market 1980 was $24. A 3% move today is 1,100. Okay. So anyways, 210 to 235. Lumber, Okay, which again is, kind of a bellwether. It's kind of holding the support level. We don't trade it. It's obviously can't be traded, but it is kind of a bellwether. What's your take here on lumber? Is this a
My
bottom?
take is head spinning volatility. I think we're closer to a low than a high, but I do not pick bottoms or tops. I think we're closer to a bottom than a top here. I think we'll probably turn around and resume higher because it's inflation. It's all about inflation.
No, listen, again, I don't disagree at all. Okay, UNG, I'm going to look at it for this person right now, UNG, which again, I'm not a big fan of UNG right off the top of my head. Okay, these leveraged ETFs are always very troubling unless you're trading them for a week or two.
Yeah, this one is not leverage bubble, but this one has. It's like
Did it used to be leveraged at one point?
No, that was there was another one, but this one is not leverage. But this one has a real problem because it does a very bad job handling contango backwardation rolls. Very bad.
I knew there was a reason I quit trading it.
Right. I hate it. Now, I like for short term. I like the boil and the cold BOIL and the KOLD. I like those.
I know this
natural gas, but I have a 10-day stomach for a position in that. That's no more.
Right. I mean, again, these are I don't believe they have yet to come up with a good ETF that represents any individual commodity.
No, but I will tell you, there's a natural gas stock that I've liked that I had our subscribers to Technomental buy back in December, which was Apache APA.
Yeah.
And that's done it's done beautifusly, and we're still on it.
I've traded Apache many times.
It's a beautiful, look at that.
You know who picked this stock out the first time?
Who?
Xander.
Oh, really?
Picked it out at about $9.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway,
so we bought it at like I think in the low 20s or something in December or November. And listen, I mean, there's no reason not to ride it. This is different than Valero. I mean, Valero, I was long for a long time, and I just hit my target. This one I'm more trend following with. I don't really have a target.
any last minute thoughts before we switch over?
Yeah, just be careful out there because there's lots of surprises on the horizon, and they're cooking up the next surprise in DC every day.
And there's lousy markets. You guess, yeah. Well, again, that's another piece.
So that's the one I was thinking of. You guys, they killed that one.
It's another piece of crap. I mean, again,
it doesn't even trade anymore.
Right. I mean,
they discontinued.
There you go.
Yeah.
Look, this is my concern when we stop trading the VXX. Just this. Okay. In the meantime, let me stop this recording. Hold on. Let me let my girlfriend speak to me. Yes, dear. Thanks, honey. Okay, then we'll get started with this part two of the Monday Marathon. That's the new name, the Monday Marathon. All right, what's up? Welcome aboard if you're just tuning in. And we've been here for about an hour and 15 minutes already. And of course, it is the Monday Night Strategy Call. Lots of stuff going on, but lots of nothing going on at the same time. Okay, I mean, the volumes continue to cry and go lower, which is not a good sign. And normally it's not even an issue. We don't even talk about it. Over the last 3 or 4 weeks, we've been talking about volume because it is becoming a concern and an issue. Okay. And we'll get into it more as we look into the stocks. In the meantime, the Day Traders Dream webinar I did on Saturday, if the sale ends tomorrow at midnight, okay, had made the aggressive made 700 today almost, and the passive made 130. So, a decent day with a couple of trades. In the meantime, over 200 countries flying private jets to climate change conference to get to stop driving my SUV. How do you like it? Okay. How do you like John Kerry, the Mr. Climate Change, flying around in his private jet? Okay. Now, again,
he's special.
Yeah, we could naturally see special. Okay. That reminds me of the American Gangster. I'm a special investigator. Anyways, as we always thank our veterans and our police and our fire and military. Look at again. If one of you guys and unfortunately, I think you guys are going to be more in demand coming, which is doesn't make me happy. Okay, but with all this crap that's going on in the world right now, it doesn't look like a pretty picture, does it?
No, it's very sad. That's what we need. We need people who want to do public service, who want to protect others, and we have to respect them. And because without them, we're in trouble.
I couldn't. every time I see them, I thank them, whether they're military or police. You know, listen, I've gotten tickets. I haven't had a ticket for a long time, but I've gotten tickets before. And I listen, don't get mad. I try to get out, but I don't get mad.
I thank him.
A guy says, you know how fast you're going? I said, yeah, 92. He started laughing. He let me go. I gave him a book. I gave him a Bubba's option book. Anyways, so Jamie Dimon warns U.S. faces unprecedented risk from combo of inflation, war, and COVID. Okay. Now, I heard an interesting stat today, okay, about COVID. Okay. Think about it. I want you to hear this. Okay. Last year, of people under 65, there was more deaths that were alcohol related that were related to COVID. What do you think? What do you make of that?
I'm not surprised.
Okay.
I'm not surprised.
You know, again.
And what about alcohol? What about fentanyl?
Well, we're in another world. But my point here is very simple. Okay. First of all, if we would go through this every time we went to work, you know, forever and had your temperature checked, there'd be a lot of people sent home for being having a temperature to go to work, because I never missed a day of work, and I know Andy never missed a day of work. So, you know, again, in the meantime, we know inflation is here. This is not a news story. I got a feeling he's got something else. I think he's got something else on his plate. Like he thinks we're going a little bit higher first, but he's trying to buy a little time to do a little bit more buying, but we'll see. Okay. Now, this I found very concerning because we know that it's coming this way, and German retailers to increase food prices by 20 to 50% on Monday. That's today. Okay. Now, you know that's coming this way. If they're raising, what do you think we're going to do?
Yeah, I mean, that's that, but they're also sitting near the breadbasket of Europe. They, you know, they're in more jeopardy. I would say that they have a 3x delta, that theirs goes up 30, ours goes up 10. That's what I think.
But you want to pay 10% more?
No, of course not. But I'm just saying, I know we're paying more, and I don't think it's going to stop at 10. I think it'll be 50 or more for food. But
and then, of course, and now with the Shanghai shutdown.
Yeah, that's the supply chain. And by the way, wait until the CPI comes out. Wait, because they were blaming the last one on the war, which the last one, how many days in February? 28 or 29 this year? 28, right?
28 was this year, yeah.
So they had 4 days out of 28, and they blamed the whole thing on Russia.
Well,
wait until when they get the full 31.
I mean, you know, come on. We know it's comical. Okay.
You know what? I mean, you know what? It's insulting because do you really think we're all that stupid?
Apparently we are. Okay. I asked that question last week. Apparently we are, because 86 million people voted for this dumbass. Okay. And this is what you could expect. There's nothing shocking of what they're doing, is there?
No. I mean, I find they insult our intelligence every day.
Well, I mean, again, you put them in there. I mean, what would you expect? What did you expect to be different?
No, I know.
I mean, again,
look, by the way, I didn't vote for him.
I know you didn't, neither did I. But I mean, again, I just say that. What did you expect? You put in a criminal.
By the way, that's the one thing I will say to you, Bubba.
Yeah.
He has fulfilled my expectations to a T.
Yep.
Okay. This is what I was afraid of, and we talked about this at length. You know, going into the election.
Yep.
He has. I don't think he could have done a more perfect job fulfilling my expectations of what I thought this would be.
Okay. And the simple truth, sanctions don't work. Okay. Now, look, if you wanted to really do sanctions, there's one way to take care of the sanctions. Okay. You start pumping more oil, you bring that price back to $35 a barrel, and suddenly Russia's not so strong.
Right. Flood the world with fossil fuels. That's what you do.
But God forbid, we're going to talk about this stupid ass climate change, which I don't think exists. I'm giving you my opinion there. I have no fact backing it up. I have little facts, but I'm not going to use the little facts. I don't believe in it. I think it's bullshit. And even if there is, at what cost are we trying to get green? And besides the fact, how many years until we can get green, Andy?
40 years, 50 years, if that. And by the way, the only way that sanctions do work is if you can isolate one party and everyone else agrees. But when you bifurcate the world and you put Russia and China, the biggest consumer and a big producer on one side, and the US and Europe, you know, on the other side, it can never work. It just can't work.
Right.
And by the way, Europe was not even really with us because Germany is, oh no, we need our energy and we're gonna, oh, we gotta buy in rubles, we'll buy in rubles. You know, it's a joke. The whole thing's a joke.
100%. So again,
It's all
can
smoke
listen,
and mirrors.
you can listen to BS of the president and Psaki and all the other jagoffs that speak about this crap. They have no idea what they're talking about, and they can solve it easily, but they don't. They choose not to. Okay, that's
frack, baby, frack.
Hey, that's a simple truth.
That's it.
Our words of wisdom from our friend Connie. 6 months from now, you'll have either 6 months of excuses or 6 months of progress. The choice is yours. Well, right now we know we got how many months has this jackass been in office for? Okay,
it's only 14 months.
14 months of excuses, and I love when he blames Russia for everything.
But 14 months, could you imagine how much damage could you do in 14 months?
Yeah.
You know what's interesting is the one thing about government is progress takes a really long time and a lot of hard work, but damage can happen very quickly.
Right, and to that point now, to the real point of this message is that when you're trading, you're investing, you can continue to make excuses, or you can learn to do it properly and get away from the excuses, because excuses are like blank. You can fill it in. We all got one. Okay. You can make excuses, or you can make your choice to be better. And again, obviously, education is the key to getting better. Okay. And of course, your State of the Union, I almost fell off my chair when I read this. I can't believe it's World War III season already. I still have my COVID decorations up. Connie, good stuff, baby. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay. And of course, my bitch, which I only bitching for over an hour, and I always bitch, but here's my official bitch. President Biden blaming Russia for high oil prices. Now, really, I mean, oil was already, as you said, $90 before any of this stuff happened. It was already going to new highs, is what we thought, before any of this stuff happened. And yet, this imbecile keeps blaming Russia for our high prices. Not one. First, he blamed the gouging of the oil companies. Do you remember that?
Yep.
Okay. Then he blames Russia. When is he going to look in the mirror? You know, one of the things I teach, before you blame anybody, look in the mirror. Okay. When is he going to look in the mirror? Maybe he can't see the mirror. I don't know. Okay. So anyway.
I'm not blaming. I have a little different take. Let me give you my take.
Go.
Okay. I don't blame him specifically. I blame the central bank and the government for the liquidity and the stimulus, and for not realizing soon on that they needed to cut those off. They are the arsonists. Did Putin pour fire on the fuel on the inflationary fire? Yes, he did. But we haven't even felt the effects of that in the data yet. And for him to be blaming him is putting the horse before the cart, because you don't even have the data yet.
Oh, I mean, I can live with that. I mean, look, I can agree with you there. I don't have a specific, again, but as Harry Truman said, the buck stops here.
Right.
Okay. He is the guy that's in charge.
I mean, he could write an executive order tomorrow saying, forget about the SPR. Let's just let's support the oil companies and give them tax breaks to go in there and pump like crazy and to pay higher salaries and take all the people, the oil workers who are skilled, away from Amazon and put them back in the fields.
And maybe the people would actually make money again too. Right. That's a hell of a job. So anyways, I'm so sick of this blame. Just figure it out, fix it, which is, unfortunately, it's an easy fix that they will not do. Okay. In the meantime, the YM, Yankee Michael, which is what we use as a Dow representation. Okay. It's just the futures are just cleaner than the actual index itself. In the meantime, again, we're long, and I think 34.4 is support, as I said last week. I think 35.2 is resistance. We're long. I'm not selling. Okay. Again, do I hate this market? Yeah, I do. Okay. Do I think we're going a lot lower? Yes, I do. However, the trend says we're going higher, and I'm not getting in the way of that. I have had too much experience trying to get in the way of things. Okay. I mean, the Badger and I were short lots of bonds going into the end of 08, and you can tell that worked out. Okay. In the meantime, 34.4 to 35.2, but I'm looking to be a buyer. As much as it pains me, I would still be a buyer until proven otherwise. Okay. The S&P Echo Sierra, same story, even better though. It looks even stronger and better, which it is. Okay. And here you've got a little bit tighter range, probably 45.20 to 4,600, but don't be surprised if we go to 4,650 or even 4,700. Okay, again,
or even a new high.
Again, nothing would surprise me, and I will be long as the trend is long.
And if you need and if you need to rationalize it, because listen, I agree with Bubba 100%. To me, this environment, bonds going up, war, all this kind of stuff, interest rates going up, war, all this kind of stuff. This is like tailor-made for price carnage in the stock market, but it ain't happening.
Right.
The way I explain it to myself is what I said in the pregame, is that the value of money is going down. And even if the stock market goes up, our value of our money is going down faster. So the stock market rally is really all BS.
You mean
trade with its trends?
So when I say that wages have dropped 9 out of the last 7 months in comparison, you'd believe that, wouldn't you? Yeah. Okay. Anyways, the NASDAQ, November, Quebec. What a big monster day they had today. Look at this. Right down to our support level at about 14.8 and right back up and now threatening to take out 15.3 or 15.255, whatever, 14.750 to 15.3. Okay. And again, I'm not a seller of this. I'm only a buyer until proven otherwise. Okay. Again, I could have an opinion, but it doesn't mean that I have to lose money on my opinion. It means that I can wait. One thing that people worry about more than anything is the trying to time the sale of a market. Okay. And I will say this for maybe the 1 millionth time. Okay. When it's time to go down, you will have plenty of time to get short. The market is not going to go down tomorrow back to 18,000 in 1 day. First of all, it can't anymore, but it's not going down in 1 day. It's going to be a process. And what you're going to start to see is you're going to see lower highs, lower lows, and you're going to see the action pick up and you'll start to get a trend. But right now, the trend is up. Okay. But don't think you're going to miss out, which is why I always tell everybody this. When I'm trading, if I'm actively trading, especially during the day, I always get stopped out. I may get stopped out of profit, but I'm not trying to pick the top or the bottom of the market to move. I'm trying to manage that trade throughout the way it's moving. Okay. Regarding inflation, then we would invest to stay ahead of inflation. Well, the only place you can invest right now to stay ahead of inflation is where you are. There is no place to go to stay ahead. Okay. This is when you have idiots in charge. Okay. It's the closest you can get to the reality.
Right. You got to synthesize it.
Okay.
Synthesize it. Listen, in the first quarter, the Dow was down 4.6%. The S&P 500 was down 5%. The NASDAQ was down 9%. Just interesting to look at those numbers in perspective when we come in here. And the reason that we trade with the trends is because we want to catch those big moves. That's it. They're going to happen.
Okay. And the Russell, again, Russell's been very flat, which is basically going back, this son of a bitch for forever has been very flat. Okay. And it's trying, but again, we're long and 2040 to 2160. Okay. Again, the levels haven't changed. All that's happening is the ranges are getting tighter, which suggests a much bigger move is coming.
Yeah.
Okay. And until proven otherwise, I have to assume that move is that way. Okay. And the VIX, look at this. My God. Suddenly, when we were looking back here, I don't know, a month ago, boy, this looks pretty good. Like maybe we're going to get a trend finally, and the VIX is going to really start to keep going. And sure enough, as usual, bang, right back down to nothing. And if you just look at it, you see that same pattern repeat itself over and over again. Okay.
The lows have been getting higher, and I have a feeling in this environment, it's going to hang around this 20 level.
I don't disagree. See, now when I lost my bet to you and I said it was going to 10 or whatever it was, when you was at 20, I said, whatever. I go, no, but now I can see that because now you have complacency running this market. Okay. And complacency is never good for markets.
Right.
Okay? Eventually they get hammered. But again, eventually is a long time. We don't have an idea when eventually is. Okay. So
you can't buy an option for eventually.
Exactly. Exactly.
Maybe we should invent that.
Apple, Alpha, Papa Lima. Well, no surprise. It has made a big up move. And of course, we're long Apple. And it came, again, it went straight down and found a level of support and it went straight up. And what did I tell you last week? More than likely, it's got to consolidate before it can resume going higher. Because of why? Because it was going up too fast. Again, parabolic moves in either direction don't last. Okay. It's just like love don't last like that, right? You know, you first on your first date, it's a lot more exciting than your thousandth date. I mean, you know, again, you get much more excited, but now we're seeing actually it trade out, and certainly it's very bullish looking. It looks like it may take a chance, a run at the highs. Okay. And it wouldn't be a surprise. I think you're looking at 175 to, 180 is the next resistance level. But I wouldn't be surprised if we got here next Monday and we're at all-time new highs. Now, it does have earnings coming out, I think, in about 3 weeks, I think. Okay. So, that's something to watch. But anyways, 175 to 180. Okay.
When do the bank earnings start next week, right?
Yeah, they start the 14th, which is Thursday, because a week from Friday is Good Friday. Markets are closed.
Right.
Okay. Of course, they put the jobs number out last year on Good Friday, like a bunch of morons. But anyways, AG, Alpha Golf, which we are still long as well. Look, it made its a little bit of a pullback. And again, much stronger and much better looking than silver. Okay.
Yeah.
So
actually the mining shares have been stronger than the metals.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Which is
I think you're looking at 13 to 14 and a half or so. Okay. And again, we carry this as I explain every week, but I'll explain it again for those who are new. We carry this for one reason. It is to be on the long side of it when it's time. We never make much on the short side, but we have a huge opportunity on the long side, which is why it's in the portfolios to begin with. Okay. AMD, Alpha Michael Delta, okay, which we are also long, and obviously it doesn't look so good. Again, this has been, if I say to you, here, let me just clean this up for a minute. Okay. I'm gonna share this with you. Okay. This is from a trend trader's perspective, the pattern can't get any worse than this. Okay. You cannot get any worse than this crappy pattern in a $20 range. Okay. Your only hope is that they don't trigger, and we don't trigger too fast, but still, when you're in this pattern, you're going to get hurt. You're not going to make money because a trend has to continue to actually be a real trend anyways. And the continuation, either up or down, have to maintain. Okay. And right now we're not getting that. Okay. We're getting these false moves sideways. And now I don't think this is going to change tomorrow. In fact, I would almost bet on it. Okay. Because it was up there a little bit, but overall, okay, the overall pattern itself is not conducive to successful trend trading, because you don't have a trend. You have a consolidating market, which is the time of most uncertainty and the biggest pain in the ass that there is. Okay. In the meantime, we'll use 100 to 120. Okay. And certainly this stock can support that move with ease. Okay. Bravo Alpha. Well, again, when does Charlie have to report to Andy?
It's interesting. I've been looking for, he retired. He retired. He's walking away from this fund. So I've been looking for it. I haven't seen it. And all I saw is like a news item last week that he's retired, which is not a surprise. He's 98 or 99 years old. But, maybe just sweep it under the carpet.
He took all his rat poison on steroids and put it in his pocket, and he's retiring now. Anyways, Baba, which we're long. Okay, look, again, people had asked back here, I mean, certainly it was well overdone to the downside. And really, it's been doing nothing more than now consolidating. The only difference is what? The ranges have become much bigger. The volatility has become much higher. And when you look at the overall expectation of movement in Baba, okay, I mean, it's looking for the rest of this week, 4 days, $7, 7%. Okay. Again, this is what you have to understand. And certainly right now, it's 110 to 120. It's almost as clear as a bell. That's where we've been for the last 2 weeks anyways, 110 to 120. Okay. Bido, Bravo India Tango Oscar. Okay. This is our way of, we have not made a trade in this yet. Maybe some of you have, but we have not done anything official here on this call. And because I'm trying to track, and I think I'll finally get a good track, Andy, on how they handle backwardation contango, because right now I don't think they have any, because the out months don't really trade.
Yeah.
Okay? But now there's options involved, or will be options involved. That's going to change. So we'll get a much better read here. But for those of you who are interested in playing crypto and don't want to buy the crypto itself, this directly correlates to the future. Okay. So if you're thinking about it, this is a place to play it. Okay. Again, if you're going to trade cryptocurrency, basically what you're doing is you're taking X amount of dollars and you're saying, okay, I'm taking a shot for this amount of money. And if it goes to zero, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it or cry over it. Okay. Because again, I don't think that we can with a lot, as much certainty as we can with other things, say that this is going to be real. We believe it's real. We believe it's going a lot higher, but also we know there is still a pretty dramatic risk here. What do you think?
Yeah, we think there's a lot of risk here. I mean, I like the sector right now. I like the action in the markets, but eyes wide open, man. Things can happen. The government can ban this stuff, so you got to be careful.
28 to 30 is the initial, but I think 32 is really the resistance. 28 to 32, but 20 to 30 should create some potential resistance.
But I like that this looks like a good little product. It looks like it has a little bit of liquidity, so it's a nice way to go. It's an alternative to having to deal with wallets and custody and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Okay. 28 to 30, 32. BitQ, which is Bitcoin Soup, same concept, but this has the miners in it, has all of the stuff involved, as Andy calls it, Bitcoin Soup.
It's all in there.
Okay. So again, we don't have this in any portfolio either. This is also a play on crypto, on the world of cryptocurrency. You want to make it, that's no problem. It's really just stuck in consolidation. I mean, personally, I own it. But
that's like my grandmother's chicken soup. She used to throw everything that was in the refrigerator in there.
I see no reason to trade it right now, or to buy it right now, or to add it right now, because at the end of the day, it's in the consolidation. I'd rather buy it at 20 on the way up than sit with it here between 16 and 20. Okay. And that's the level, 16 to 20. Okay. Chewy, Charlie Hotel Whiskey Yankee, continues to fly all over the place. And of course, we're short this. And it was doing very well until today, but a very light volume on the rally.
By the way, they hated the earnings. Yep. And, the stock has done okay.
Yeah, well, they ran it up, which is what made him hurt their earnings even more, because they ran the stock to 52 right before earnings. So, again, you look at
cushion.
It's really, what is this in? This is in consolidation. Yeah. This could be AMD if I change the prices.
Yeah, I could see this going into a range and just not move it for a while.
I see it right now. Right, exactly. So in the meantime, for our sake here, 40 to 50, but we are short. Okay. Coin, Charlie Oscar India November, tried to break out. It's back right around that support or resistance, depending on what it does from here. And, when you look at it, and of course, we are a long coin, and it has had a solid movement, and it is consolidating here. I would be watching, very closely, probably 185 on the downside. And I think it's got the first resistance is going to be about 210. Okay. But certainly 220 is not out of the question. And certainly 260 is not out of the question. But for now, again, you remember, you want to look at them one level at a time. You don't want to believe that, some idiot makes a call, oh, it's going to 500. Okay. But there's a lot of stuff in between 200 and 500. Okay. So again, I would watch this. We are long it. I mean, I own it anyways. I know Andy owns it, so I wouldn't have a problem with, buying more. We're certainly again in an uptrend. So, and we are long. So, but 190 to 210, 220. Okay. And, DraftKings, little pop today. Okay. Delta Kilo November Golf. Now, this is obviously, we were wrong when we got so excited about this stock way back when. Okay. And again, we're in it. We're in the portfolios. We're shorted. We're long it now. My apologies. Made a mistake. Okay. We were short for a long time. Okay. But, again, I think Andy agrees. I think it was your idea first is that they're going to be a takeover candidate of anything. And that's the only way we're going to really probably get out of this eventually. What do you think?
Unfortunately, Musk bought Twitter instead of DraftKings.
Yeah, well, I mean, but don't you think that DraftKings would be in play?
Yes, I do think that's a joke. I do think it'll be in play. I think that they squandered a lot of money on acquisition costs, and now someone could actually pick them up and get this all these names for pennies on the dollar. So that makes them pretty attractive. Some people think they're still overvalued at $20, and we'll see.
Well, they're probably on straight dollars are probably overvalued at $20, but on value of customer names and on value of the setup that they already have, they're probably undervalued. So I think you just have to look at it. Like I said, 15 is my benchmark of where I'm not going to buy anymore on the way down.
Make a lot of money tonight, huh?
You would think so, but they're not. They have not really performed well through the entire NCAA tournament. So I think it goes back to the gambling business is a 5% business, and no matter what you think, they can never make more. Basically, it's basically a 5% edge. That's what they're trying to make. So, in the meantime, I look at this probably 18 to 22, and Facebook Foxtrot Bravo, and it's making a nice little move up from the lows, and of course we're long this, and look, it's now reaching a level, about the 235, which is the first real resistance here, and I think that you could see probably 220 to 235, which is a pretty narrow range, which indicates more than likely it should pop from here. Well, no matter what you think of Zuckerberg, but before it starts that lower, I would think you're going to see an attempt at 250, if not an attempt to fill this gap all the way to 300. Okay. Now, again, that could change, but based on the way that it bottomed, based on the action it's giving us now, it looks very bullish right now. So 220 to 235. First Solar, Foxtrot, Sierra, Lima, Romeo, which we're still long as well. And this continues. And again, the volume is pathetic, but it does continue to drive higher. Okay. The next big test in this stock is going to be $88. If it gets there, it's going to be $88. For looking at it here, you could go from either 80 to 88. Okay. Or if you want to go a little bit tighter and you want to be a little bit more aggressive, you could look at 82. Okay. I would just assume you wait for 80 and then see how it's trading at 80 before jumping in. But certainly there is some support at 82. And 88 would be the resistance, but certainly we're long. I've been long for quite a while, so we'll see. And GDX, I think this is the first day that this has underperformed gold.
Well, Newmont went to a new all-time high, and that's a big component of it. But these gold mining stocks have done very well.
No, that looks great.
Look at how far we're off the high here. I memean, we're not that far off the high, and gold is down what? $150, 140.
The chart looks great.
Okay. Yeah, I like, and this is telling me that gold is not, gold might surprise us.
Yeah, I mean, we're long, and this looks great. It just keeps turning iron. Again, look at from the bottom, and so suddenly you get the rally. This is very, very consistent with the way it should be trading. Goldman Sachs, I didn't give you levels of Connie. I figured out right away. 38 to 40. Okay, 38 to 40. Goldman Sachs, Gulf Sierra. Okay, and we're short this. It does have earnings also on the 13th, I believe, with JP Morgan. And look, it's really stuck in congestion, 320 to 350. The ranges are getting a little bit narrower, but still really just stuck churning back and forth and really hasn't gone very far. I mean, we got short this at 340 and have been short for quite a while and been able to withstand any of the rallies. But overall, it hasn't really gone very far, and it's really just stuck in this range. And I'm assuming their earnings are going to be pretty good. So, especially with the commodity markets, what do you think?
Look, Goldman's going to report earnings when, like the 16th or something. I
think they go the 13th as well. I'm not 100%.
So the 13th. So they're going to make a lot of money. We know that. We know interest rates are going higher. They're going to make a lot of money when interest rates go higher. Right. And at the end of the day, they're the best. They always make money. But that stock is going to go. It's a high beta stock.
Right. And we don't know what they're already pricing into it as well. But in the meantime, we are short, and 320 to 340 are the levels. IWM, India Whiskey Michael, trying to break out above the range. We're still long. I think you're looking at 204 to 212. Okay. And again, when you look at this, it's going sideways, which is natural. Okay.
Yeah, the administration hates small cap companies.
They hate small everything, right? They want to kill everybody.
Right.
Mara, Michael Alpha, Romeo Alpha, all right, which we are also along. And look, it's stuck in once again, as it does almost consistently until it makes the big spike higher, is stuck. And I would say that you'd be watching, 27 as support and 29 as resistance. So really, you've got a market that is so tight, okay, that you assume that a much bigger move is coming. And of course, that would tie into Bitcoin. That would tie
It
looks like
the BitQ is a little bit more exciting to trade than this thing right now.
Right now, yeah, it does.
Yeah.
100%. These get nuts when they get nuts, which is always
right.
And so, but for now, 28 to 30, which is very tight, which is really means that what that's really saying to you is that right now you shouldn't be trading it. It's saying it's untradeable right now in these tight ranges.
Yeah.
Okay. Neo, November, India, Oscar, which we are along as well. And, we're trying to break out. This is a Chinese EV company. It got hammered so bad that the natural bounce is not a surprise here. I would expect that, 26 is the next resistance. And you're probably looking at the 20 support. Okay, 20 to 26. Nougat, November Uniform Golf Tango. This looks great, Andy.
Yeah, I mean, it's GDX on steroids. So
even with the down move today of $1.35, this looks phenomenal. Just look at this thing go. Now, again, if you remember that I say to you that this is probably a little bit too sharp, so it's natural that it has a little bit of selling pressure or go sideways. That should not be a surprise to anyone, because when we look at that, we see that often in patterns, and we know to expect that. Okay.
These gold stocks tend to do a very good job cluing you in with what's going on in the gold.
So I think you want to make sure to remember, okay, that these are things that we can recognize and see in markets. So we know that we expected a little bit of a pullback anyways. And when they get a little bit too far ahead of themselves, normally you end up with some sideways action, which I think we're going to see.
Yeah.
NVIDIA. Oh, wait a second. I got to go back. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm so 70 to 78, Connie, 70 to 78. NVIDIA, November, Victor, Delta, Alpha, which we're long as well. I mean, we're kind of stuck in this range. What are you hearing on the chip sector? Anything?
China's kind of shut down here with Shanghai and stuff. So that's affecting it. Taiwan Semiconductor, there's all kinds of nervousness about that. But, I don't think the war affects that much, but the threat of Chinese reunification could be a problem there. But right now, I don't think it's as severe as it was.
Okay. Goldman reports 4:14 in the morning, which is the same as JP Morgan. I've heard Belarus may enter Ukraine next week. What do you think that it will do to the Dow, Q, and commodities?
They're already in there, aren't they?
I don't know, but you know what?
I mean, they got Russian troops going in there from Belarus.
Here's what I will say to you to that question. Okay. Everybody knows about it. So the markets have already made their reaction known of what's going to happen, and they don't care.
Right. Exactly. The price action is all that matters.
Money cares about money. And if there was a real concern that the markets would not be up today. Okay. Shanghai Shek ran China to Formosa. And so NVIDIA, back to NVIDIA, is like 260 to 290. 260 to 290. And we're long. Penn, Papo, Echo. There obviously was some news in the gambling stocks because they're higher. God knows why. But look at the pattern.
Could it be that the finals are tonight?
No, I don't think so. I think there's probably some rumor stuff going around or something. Again, obviously we know, what I learned, unfortunately, the hard way, which happens, okay, is I forgot to equate the maximum amount of money I could make when I got so excited about the stocks. I think it's probably just maybe there's some talk going on right now. You continue to see the expansion. And today in the province of Ontario, you had 18 bookmakers open up today.
Oh, wow.
They are now what we did in 2018 when the Supreme Court legalized gambling in all 50 states. It's happening today. in Canada, in Ontario. And now there's 18 legalized bookmakers, and that could be a very good reason for this to be popular.
What is Trudeau's piece? What is his vig?
You know, I got to tell you, I think I told this story before, but you'll laugh anyways. You know, I went when Xander was 12. We went to Niagara Falls. We went to Cooperstown, but we went to Niagara Falls, and they went to the falls, and I went to play poker. Right? Mm-hmm. I bought in, and they charged me the vig on the currency. I won, and when I cashed out, they took all my money on the vig, and I almost got thrown. I almost got arrested. I got so mad. I said, "What are you guys doing? You're stealing on both sides. You can't let me make a little bit." It was violent. Okay. Anyways, Penn, 40 to 45.
I did it for years, Bubba. I did it for years when I traveled for business. And listen, when I was traveling, you know, there were a lot of different currencies. It wasn't just the euro. It was marks and francs and all that kind of stuff. I used to lose more money at the airports getting currency. It was ridiculous.
Neon from Ukraine impacts chips. Not sure if that changed with the Ruskies going east. Okay. All right. Penn, we're short, and it's again 40 to 45. The Qs, Quebec. Again, we're long, and we're going to test up this 370 level. I think we're probably going to right through it like a hot knife through butter. And I think you're 360 to 370. Riot, which we do not cover, but is like Mara, and it is below Mara, and it's really just stuck in this range. It's like 20 to 25 at the bottom, just like it's going to do what Bitcoin does, basically. Okay. Roku, Romeo, what is it? 20 to 25, I told you. Okay. Roku, Romeo Oscar Kilo Uniform, which we are long. And, you know, you've got, you know, a nice little pop up today. You know, again, I thought 140 was going to be pretty good. And look at where we came up. Remember, I warned you, I said 100 was the key number to watch here. And look what happened. We bottomed at 100 and started to take back off. And now we're going to test 140. You know, 140, will that hold it? Well, it'll be debated and decided depending on if it can get through 140 or if we go into this crappy consolidation pattern. But for today, 120 to 140. Sierra, Quebec, Square Dance. I guess the Twitter purchase helped him too.
Yeah, I would imagine it did. I mean, it's, you know.
But in the meantime, we're long Square. And like this, aren't they starting to look familiar, some of these charts? They're all kind of consolidating up towards an upper end of a recent resistance level. For today, I'd look at this from 125 to 145. It's already trading over that in the post market, but 145 should be some resistance. If it goes through 145, it's going to 165.
Right. And I will say this. I will say if these markets all fail and all do a plunge here, you know, that'll be a classic bear market after the action over the past couple of months. But it just doesn't feel that way.
Right.
It just doesn't feel that way.
No, because you said it. I mean, you know, where are you going to go?
Yeah.
There's still we're still visiting Tina.
Right, Tina.
Anyways, 125 to 140 to 145. The SPY, Sierra, Papa Yankee, we're still long and it's still going up. I mean, you know, every week it just, you know, continues to grind. We're going to test this 460 on the upside. I think you're probably 450 to 460, but I wouldn't be surprised if it gets back to 470 either. Okay. This is the market you have right now. Again, this goes back to when you're watching the price action. They used to call it the tape. When you were a trader on the floor, you couldn't look at anything but the order flow, which is the tape, which is what you see in that little scroller on TV. And right now, the tape is pretty bullish. Okay. Tilray, which you don't really trade anymore, but people like to look at it. I mean, it had a nice pop up to $9. Now back at 745. I know that Schumer made
Congress voted on that thing. They passed it, and the Senate will turn it down.
So here we go. Yeah, but you had a little bit of a movement, but I didn't get fooled again. Right. Okay, I just stayed with it. Tango, Quebec. Obviously, the Q's on steroids. You know, we're continue to go higher. Now we don't trade it in our portfolios anymore. But from here, for me, 56 to 66 are the levels to watch. And I would not be a seller, okay, until the Q's turn south. But 56 to 66 right now are the levels I'd be watching. Tesla, moonshot. I guess this is going to make new highs again. Looks like.
Yeah.
After getting just decimated and down to 690. Oh, it's back to 1200 again. 1150.
I love that he bought Twitter.
Well, you know, listen, it is a great concept. It is a great car. And, we're not getting there that fast, but certainly I think they're actually starting to make money now too. So,
It is by the way, it is the car of our neighborhood. You drive around, you see.
oh yeah. Listen, you pull into the parking lot of Red Rock, there's 500 Teslas in it.
Right.
1200 is the level to watch on the upside, 1080 to 1200. Okay. The VXX we don't trade anymore. Again, it's anytime they get this crap going on, I step away, and you can see by the volume
That's a UGAS. That's a UGAS in the making.
Exactly. Win Whiskey Yankee November, which were long, and see, this is a player. This is where this relates back to the DraftKings. Now it's amazing that with part of China shut down, that Win is still managing to hold their gains.
Yeah.
But this goes into the app business and the expansion of it. And I'm sure it'll be in California soon. Remember, there's still a lot of big states that gambling isn't in yet. And they've now put their app out as well, which again, I always go back to this thing in the back of my mind. Johnny Avello, who runs DraftKings, was the head bookmaker at Wynn forever. And certainly it wouldn't be a far stretch to see Wynn take over DraftKings or one of those, because that's their built-in guy right there. That's the guy that was with him for 25 years. Okay. XBI, X-Ray Bravo India, breaking out. Right, here you go. So now finally, right, we said it was going to go down about the 80 level. We got into this consolidation, and now it's now breaking to the upside. So certainly, if you trade, I don't trade this anymore, but if you do trade this, I'd want to be looking at 90, 91, 92, 93 as a spot to buy it. I think resistance probably doesn't come until about 100. Okay, so 90 to 100. And Zoom, which we don't trade anymore either, but it would be long if we did. But it's really what? Doing nothing. It's going sideways. We've seen this consistently throughout many markets, and there's a lot of reasons for that. The very quiet market to begin with. I mean, look, when you see a volume in the S&P that is like this, wait, I got to give you levels here, Connie. I'm sorry. I'm losing my mind, which is not a far loss. 110, 115 to 130. Okay. But when you see volumes like this, and again, we don't usually discuss volume, but when you continue to see declining volume, the S&P should be trading well over 2 million contracts a day. We're lucky if we're averaging 1.2 million. So we're 40% or 50% off of volume, which is a problem. Okay. So that's what you want to remember. Okay. When you look at these things, all right. Kathy Wood says oil is going to $12. So Kathy Wood's an idiot. So what do you want me to tell you? Okay. When I didn't give you those either. You're right. Or maybe I did later. I don't know. Let me go back. I'll jog my memory right now. 78 to 84. 78 to 84. I did not give them to you. 78 to 84. Kathy Wood's an idiot. I mean, are you kidding me? LAC, what the hell is that? The Los Angeles Clippers? How about the Lakers? No playoffs for the Lakers this year. How about that? LAC. Wow. Oh, another lithium stock. Nice. Looks great. This looks phenomenal. I mean, if I don't
a commodity.
If I don't trade it, but if I did, I'd be looking at 36 here. I might even look at 38. I don't trade it, never have. So, it's above my pay grade, but it looks good. Okay. Zoom is 110 to 130. Yeah. Okay. Or REGN. I know that one. I know that symbol too. I've traded all these at one time or another. I never traded LAC. Is it Regeneron Pharmaceutical or something like that? Yeah. Regeneron. Yeah. I mean, it looks great. I mean, they all look pretty good, but this looks better. These are consolidating up at high levels versus consolidating in the middle of nowhere. So that's, this is what you're looking at. If you take a look at a longer term, you can see it's breaking out. Okay. And this is, again, so I mean, listen, I don't buy $700 stocks myself. So it's nothing for me. And I'm certainly not going to trade the option there because they're not liquid, but certainly it looks great. If you own it, I wouldn't be getting out of it. Okay. All right, kids, look, I think it's the same message we give you every week recently is just be careful. You should be hedged. And if you're not hedged, just be careful. Don't panic or puke out if something changes quickly because it's probably only temporary. We are not going to go either straight up. We can continue to go higher, but we're not going to go in a straight line higher, nor are we going to go in a straight line lower. You will have plenty of opportunity to react. Remember, we are predominantly long ourselves. which is the channel Disney. Sure. I mean, we carry a position in Disney, just full disclosure, and we are long it, but let's take a look at the chart for you right now. Delta India Sierra. I mean, it doesn't look so great here. I mean, it's come down quite a bit from its highs. I suspect that, once we get this, this COVID fears over and more people are traveling, the parks will start to pick up again.
Yeah,
And
and Mickey's coming out of the closet.
What a joke. God, kill me.
I thought you'd appreciate that.
Kill me. I mean, really. And then I heard some. I don't want to get into it now. It's too
Okay, I'm sorry.
But you're right. I mean, but they own ESPN, which is also struggling a little bit. And look at the money they're paying these broadcasters. Who goes to listen to a game for the broadcasters? I mean, they're paying Troy Aikman $1 million a game or $1.5 million a game.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, I would listen. I got news for you. Next Monday, you're on Monday Night Football. If you've never watched the Manning brothers, now that I'd pay for. They do a great job.
They're fun. They're funny.
Right.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of fun. ABBV. Okay.
I used to like listen, I mean,
I liked Howard Cosell.
Me too. I was just gonna say that was the guy.
I know who you're gonna say. I liked them too.
I liked how it goes.
This
I
looks
like
fun.
Madden. I like John Madden.
Well, John Madden was the best.
Yeah, of course.
ABB looks great. I mean, 160 would be a buy. It's got a great dividend too. Okay. You're welcome, my brother. All right. So, in the meantime, listen, again, just be careful. Remember, the markets aren't going straight in one direction anyways. We are predominantly long, which means that we believe, or the algorithms we use believe, that the markets are going higher. And that's all I can say. Look, I'm not going to try to guess the next big move. I'm going to tell you what I always tell you is that let's let the markets decide and tell us what to do instead of us telling the markets what to do. Guys, have a great week, everybody. Andy, thanks. And I'll talk to you later. We'll see you all later. Take care, everybody.